Mr. Gleason, the county euthanizes 100,000 animals a year. On my farm, just outside of Vermont, every day there are new strays that are dropped off. What would you do to help deal with this growing problem?
Right, I think I would empower communities to, through education and through other various means, to understand and to bring their problems out of the shadows and into a more of a community-based activity to support managing their pets and their animals, whether that's lease programs that they want to impose on themselves, or that is education, or that is bringing together groups of people who have the same ideas and the same problems to search for solutions. I think the government has vested interest in maintaining the peace and order of communities, and I would support those activities to the full extent possible. But I think this is an individual problem, and I think individuals need to take care of their pets.
Thank you. Ms. Hess?
Unfortunately, we have a segment of the population that doesn't take care of their pets. And so where do you draw the line? As you say, did you say 1,000?
100,000.
And who's paying to euthanize these animals? This is one of those issues that's a fine line. Do you regulate? And do you force people to neuter and spay their animals? I know that we have programs out there where folks can get this taken care of for free. It is an education. But this is a very complicated issue. It's a very emotional issue. People love their pets. And this is something that we need to have some honest communication, honest dialogue amongst ourselves. And we must decide, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but is this something that we're going to actually regulate? Or is there a way to educate these folks and get these folks to take the responsibility once they take that pet on? It is a problem and it needs to be addressed.
Mr. Freeland?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about this, and you know, we don't have a pet problem in this county. We have a pet owner problem.
That's it.
We really do. You know, the responsibility is on those owners. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't take the responsibility to care for their animals, and then they intrude on other people. And I'll be honest with you, I would be really tough on those owners. You know, I realize there's not enough enforcement people to go around, but when those situations occur, I would make sure if they're not licensed, you know, if they don't have their shots and things like that, and people have been given fair warning, they ought to really be cited. And to the point, those pets may have to be taken away. You know, we just got to get tough on this. If we keep dancing around it, it's never going to be solved. And these owners are going to continue to abuse it. My son lives in Bakersfield, and a little pup came to his door about a year ago and had his ears clipped, bleeding all over the place. A little puppy. And what it was, a neighbor down the street had cut those ears for dog fighting. And I think that's atrocious. Fortunately, he was able to adopt the dog and was able to fix the dog's ears and stuff like that. So we just got to be tough on it. The other thing is, I think it's ridiculous that the city of Bakersfield and Kern County are going to have two separate care centers for their dogs. You know, as a taxpayer, you know, the county and the city really need to quit their turf fighting and have one facility, well run with a private partnership. And I would really like to see that would happen. I think we could be more efficient, and I think our pets would be better for it.
Thank you. Mr. Holloway?
We in government never do anything well. And trying to ask us to solve that problem just perpetuates the problem in many cases. We've debated this at the state level several times. And when you try to regulate it, all you do is you penalize the people that already practice good behavior, and the people that aren't practicing good behavior still don't do anything there. To me, it reminds me of Second Amendment, the gun control laws. It's you can't legislate personal responsibility. I would advocate, there are organizations out there that are nonprofits that deal with this problem much better than us, and I would like to see more private-public partnerships. I think it was a travesty the way that Kern County and Bakersfield couldn't come together just on the animal shelter issue. I would have, if I was in office, I would have proposed somehow building a shelter and letting a nonprofit run it, and let Bakersfield and both Kern County contribute to the the operation of the facility, but let the professionals and the people with passion and an intimate knowledge of that business deal with that. One thing, if I can get on my soapbox for a minute, that really infuriates me though, is there's more passion for that issue, it seems to me, and baby seals and everybody else than the unborn babies in this country. And I don't understand that for the life of me. I'll shut up.
Thank you. Mr. Ashburn?
Well, we have responsible pet owners, and we have a large population of irresponsible people in our society who do not care and do not exercise the responsibility. And every time the government tries to get involved, the regulations, the additional costs, the licensing, whatever the program may be, those costs are going to fall upon the responsible people. And the irresponsible people are going to continue with the behavior that they have. Now, the programs that have worked most successfully have been the volunteer programs, the not-for-profit efforts in educating the public, not through government, but through private individuals. Unfortunately, our government doesn't trust its citizens, and this would be a prime example where the county has demonstrated again and again a distrust for the private citizens and the organizations that are willing and capable to help and to assist in that problem. And a couple of these good people who are running here have mentioned this City of Bakersfield problem, and it isn't just the animal shelter dispute between the county and the city. We've got duplicate layers of government between the cities and the counties and the special districts, and the taxpayers cannot afford it any longer. We've got to find ways to consolidate those services. Let's deliver the right service for the public at the lowest possible cost with the least amount of overlap from jurisdictional turf.
Mrs.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Well, let's get her answer first, and you can, Ms. Escudero.
Thank you. The one thing I would not do is what the Board of Supervisors just did, which was basically have a department head come before them, say he failed at his job to negotiate, and ask for $640,000 Band-Aid to buy cages for a location that no one knows where it's going to be, and throw the money into an abyss that has no bottom and no long-term plan, and make that decision without involving the people, the passionate people who are already involved in the process at the Animal Control Commission, not even having those discussions with the people in the community that we're supposed to be there listening to. And they asked a couple questions, and I thought they were asking the right ones, but no one asked what's the final cost going to be. And no one seemed to do the simple math, which was $640,000 for new cages, minus the $320,000 that we're not going to get from the city, and added up to the $1.2 million contract that supposedly the rates had gone up for the city in the first place. It's a failure of your government to negotiate a simple business contract with one of their major vendors, which is the City of Bakersfield. Now, whatever the issues are behind it, whether it's the City of Bakersfield digging their heels in again, defining their turf again, and not wanting to work with the county, or is it the county surprising the City of Bakersfield with a cost increase 3 times what they've been charged in the past and saying, oh, by the way, your bill's going to go up? Who would do that to a vendor and not work with them and say we can phase it in over 3 years? 8 years they paid that amount. 6 months before the contract expires, it's going to go up 3 times. I can see why the city told the county to take a walk. It's a failure of our local government to work together to solve an issue. And the first place they failed was not relying on the people already intimately involved at the Animal Control Commission. And that's the problem. We don't want to listen to the people involved.
Thank you. Ms. Hess?
I agree with what you said, Heidi. You know, I was sitting here thinking, when we were talking about education, really what we need to do is get those nonprofits together and start the education and start it in elementary school. Work with those kids. Kids can be very effective with their parents, and they could take that message to their parents about responsible pet ownership. So I just want to throw that out there, that could be a first step.
Okay, the next question starts with you, Ms. Hess.